The massive war room stretched across half a kilometer, its walls made of pure crystal that showed the stars beyond. Admiral Zexthul stood at the center, his forearms crossed as he looked at the holographic display floating before him. Around him, hundreds of military officers from dozens of different alien species sat in their seats, all waiting for his words. The Keth Moran hegemony controlled 847 star systems. Their ships could travel faster than light. Their weapons could destroy entire planets. For 3,000 years, no enemy had stood against them and survived. Every species they met either joined them willingly or was crushed beneath their military might. "Show me the sector again," Zexthul ordered. His voice carried the authority of someone who had never lost a battle. The hologram shifted, showing a small section of space near the galaxy's outer rim. A yellow star sat at the center, with several small planets orbiting around it. The system looked ordinary, almost boring compared to the massive industrial worlds that made up the heart of the hegemony. "This is the Sol system," reported Captain Vexdal, the intelligence officer. "One star, 8 planets, various moons and asteroids. The third planet from the star contains life. And this is what has our council worried?" Zexthul asked. Several officers laughed at the idea. Captain Vexdal hesitated. "Sir, there are warnings in our oldest archives. Ancient civilizations left records about this region of space. They call it forbidden territory." "What kind of warnings?" Zexthul's tone showed he was not impressed. The captain activated another display. Ancient symbols appeared, carved in stone and metal from dozens of dead civilizations. Despite being written in different languages by different species across thousands of years, they all said similar things. "Stay away from the death world," Vexdal translated. "The creatures there know only violence. They turn everything into weapons. They fight not just to win, but because they enjoy it." More laughter filled the room. Commander Thexmol, leader of the second battle group, stood up. "These are the words of primitive species who probably never left their home planets. What could they possibly know about real warfare?" "The archives also contain technical data," Vexdal continued. "The species living on the third planet call themselves humans. They have barely developed space travel. Their fastest ships use chemical rockets. Their strongest weapons are simple nuclear devices." Zexthul studied the display showing Earth. The planet looked blue and green, covered in water and plant life. Cities dotted the surface, but they were small compared to the massive metropolises of hegemony worlds. "How many humans are there?" "Approximately 8 billion, Vexdal answered. "And they have no faster-than-light travel?" "None that we can detect. They have sent a few small probes to other planets in their system, but nothing beyond that." General Klexnar, the oldest officer in the room, leaned forward. "Admiral, perhaps we should consider the warnings. So many different species across so much time all saying the same thing. Maybe there is truth to their words." The room fell silent. Zexthul's eyes narrowed. "General, are you suggesting that the mighty hegemony should be afraid of primitives, who cannot even leave their own solar system?" "I am suggesting caution, sir. The archives mention something else. Every civilization that ignored the warnings was never heard from again." "Because they were primitive themselves," Commander Thexmol interrupted. "We have plasma cannons that can crack moons. Our shields can withstand the energy of a star. Our smallest battlecruiser carries more firepower than these humans have. On their entire planet." Zexthul nodded. "The commander is correct. We have conquered species far more advanced than these humans. The Zephyrians had energy beings that could control matter with their thoughts. The Multicons could manipulate time itself. Yet they all fell before our might." He gestured to the display. "Look at this planet. No orbital defenses, no energy shields protecting their major cities, no weapons platforms on their moon. They are defenseless." Captain Vexdal pulled up more data. "Our long-range sensors show they do have some space-based assets. A few small stations orbiting their planet, several primitive satellites, but nothing that could threaten even one of our scout ships." "What about their population centers?" asked Commander Thexmol. "Scattered across the planet's surface. No underground cities, no floating platforms. They live in the open, completely vulnerable to orbital bombardment. Zexthul smiled, showing his sharp teeth. It will be over in hours. We jump into their system, demand surrender, and when they refuse, we demonstrate our power by destroying one of their cities. The rest will submit immediately. And if they don't? General Klexnar asked quietly. Then we destroy them all and take their planet, Zexthul replied without hesitation. Earth sits in a perfect position along several trade routes. Once we remove the native population, we can establish a major base there. The hologram shifted, again showing tactical projections. Red icons represented hegemony ships, while blue dots showed the pathetic human vessels detected in Earth's orbit. We will take the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet, Zexthul announced. 50,000 ships should be more than enough to handle 8 billion primitives. Sir, interrupted Lieutenant Nexvar, 50,000 ships seems excessive for such a week. Target. Zexthul's expression hardened. Lieutenant, are you questioning my tactical judgment? No, sir, I just thought perhaps a smaller force might be sufficient. The hegemony does not send smaller forces, Lieutenant. When we arrive at an enemy system, we want them to see the full might of our empire stretched across their sky. We want them to know that resistance is impossible. Overwhelming force ends wars before they begin. General Klexnar spoke again. Admiral, what if the warnings are true? What if there is something different about these humans? Zexthul turned to face the old general. Then we will discover what makes them special when we dissect their corpses. The hegemony has faced species that could control minds, bend reality, and travel through dimensions. All of them learned the same lesson. No one stands against us and survives. He looked around the room. Prepare the fleet. We leave for the Sol system in 3 standard days. I want every ship armed with full battle loads. Deploy sensor nets around their system before we arrive. Monitor all their communications. When we drop out of hyperspace, I want them to see death itself filling their sky. The officers began to leave, chattering excitedly about the upcoming conquest. Only General Klexnar remained behind. Admiral, he said quietly, I have a bad feeling about this. Zexthul placed one of his 4 hands on the general's shoulder. Old friend, you have fought beside me for 40 years. Have I ever led us into defeat? No, sir. Then trust me now. These humans are nothing special. They are just another primitive species that will learn to kneel before the hegemony's power. As the war room emptied, Zexthul stood alone before the holographic display of Earth. The blue and green planet rotated slowly, looking peaceful and defenseless. He thought about the ancient warnings, then dismissed them. Fear was a tool used by the weak to protect themselves from the strong. In 3 days, the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet would jump to hyperspace. In a week, they would arrive at Earth. And then the humans would learn what every other species in the galaxy had learned. The Keth Moran hegemony always won. The hologram flickered and went dark, leaving Admiral Zexthul standing in the starlight, completely confident in his coming victory. The space around Jupiter looked empty, but Captain Sarah Chen knew better. Hidden among the asteroids and moons, human ships waited in silence. Their engines were cold, their weapons powered down, and their hulls covered in materials that made them invisible to most sensors. Sarah stood on the bridge of the EDF Defiance, one of Earth's newest destroyers. At only 300 meters long, it was tiny compared to the massive alien ships that had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. But Sarah had studied the intelligence reports. She knew what humanity was really facing. Contact from Earth Command, reported Lieutenant Torres from the communication station. We have visual confirmation of the alien fleet. Put it on screen, Sarah ordered. The main display filled with an image that made several crew members gasp. Thousands of alien ships stretched across space like a metal cloud. The smallest vessels were larger than Earth's biggest space stations. The largest ones looked like floating cities bristling with weapons and armor. Jesus, whispered Commander Phillips, Sarah's second in command. How many ships is that? Initial count shows approximately 50,000 vessels, Torres reported. They're maintaining position at the system's edge, probably waiting for us to contact them. Sarah nodded. Open a channel. All frequencies. A few moments later, an alien face appeared on their screen. The creature had 4 eyes, gray skin, and a mouth full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, the universal translator that Earth's scientists had built from captured alien technology converted its words into English. "Primitive creatures of the 3rd planet," the alien said, its voice full of contempt. "I am Admiral Zexthul of the Kethmaran hegemony. Your world now belongs to us. Surrender immediately, and some of you will be allowed to live as slaves. Resist, and we will burn your cities and enslave your children." Sarah looked around the bridge. Her crew was young, most of them barely out of the academy, but she saw no fear in their eyes, only anger. That was good. Angry humans fought better than scared ones. "Open response channel," she ordered. The alien, Admiral, appeared on screen again, clearly expecting to hear words of surrender. Instead, he saw a human woman in a military uniform, standing calmly with her arms crossed. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force," she said, her voice clear and steady. "You were warned to stay away from our system. Now I'm giving you one chance to leave. Turn your ships around and go home. You won't get another warning." The alien's 4 eyes widened in shock. Then he began to laugh, a harsh sound that filled the bridge. "You dare to threaten us? Your entire species could not defeat a single one of our battle cruisers." "Maybe," Sarah replied. "But you're about to find out what happens when you mess with humans on their home ground." She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. "All stations battle ready. Launch all fighters. Signal the fleet to begin attack pattern Alpha." Around the solar system, human ships that had been hiding in asteroid fields, behind moons, and in the shadows of planets suddenly came to life. Engine signatures blazed as hundreds of vessels moved toward the alien fleet. Admiral Zexthul watched the approaching human ships with amusement. "Look at them," he said to his officers, "like insects flying toward a fire." But his amusement faded as his sensors got a better look at the human vessels. Instead of normal energy weapons, the human ships carried strange devices that his computers could not identify. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "the humans are launching projectiles at us, but they're not missiles. They appear to be solid metal objects." "Metal? What kind of weapon is made of metal?" The answer came a few seconds later. The first human kinetic kill vehicle struck a hegemony cruiser at 30% of light speed. The metal rod, no bigger than a telephone pole, punched through the alien ship's shields and armor like they were made of paper. The cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash of light. "Impossible," Zexthul shouted. "Our shields can stop plasma beams and particle cannons." "The projectiles have no energy signature," his tactical officer replied, panic creeping into his voice. "The shields don't recognize them as weapons." More kinetic strikes followed. Human ships fired rod after rod of simple metal, each one accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic launchers. The alien shields, designed to stop energy weapons, were useless against chunks of metal moving at relativistic velocities. But the humans had more surprises. Sarah Chen's destroyer launched a spread of what looked like nuclear missiles. But when they exploded, instead of releasing heat and radiation, they pumped X-ray lasers that cut through alien armor like a hot knife through butter. "What kind of monsters are these?" Zexthul demanded as another of his ships died. The human fighters were even worse. Instead of trying to fight the massive alien vessels in direct combat, they swarmed around them like angry bees. They targeted sensor arrays, weapon mounts, and engine nacelles with surgical precision. When alien point defense systems tried to stop them, the human pilots did something no civilized species would ever consider. They rammed their fighters directly into the enemy guns, destroying both the fighter and the weapon in massive explosions. "They're killing themselves to damage us," reported the tactical officer. Zexthul watched in horror as human pilots intentionally crashed their ships into his vessels. It was insane. It was barbaric. It was terrifyingly effective. The worst part was the communications his sensors were picking up from the human ships. He expected to hear screams of fear or desperate calls for help. Instead, he heard laughter. The humans were actually enjoying the battle. "This is Reaper Squadron," came one transmission. "We've got a big one lined up for a ram attack. Anyone want to bet I can take out their main gun?" "Tiger base to all fighters," came another. "Remember, aim for the pretty lights. Those are usually something important." Sarah Chen's voice came over the radio. calm and professional. All ships continue attack pattern Alpha. Focus fire on their command vessels. Let's show these aliens how Earth says hello. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 12 hegemony ships had been destroyed, and 30 more were badly damaged. The human losses were lighter: 1 destroyer, 6 frigates, and 43 fighters. Admiral Zexthul stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His mighty fleet, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, had been hurt by primitives using metal, rods, and suicide attacks. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving another transmission from the humans." Sarah Chen appeared on screen again. This time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood dozens of human officers, all wearing the same calm, confident expression. "Admiral," she said, "this was just our welcoming committee. The real Earth Defense Force hasn't even shown up yet. You still have time to leave. But if you're stupid enough to stay, we'll show you why every smart species in the galaxy avoids our neighborhood." The transmission ended, leaving Zexthul staring at a blank screen. Around him, his officers waited for orders. Some looked frightened. Others looked angry. All of them looked to him for answers he didn't have. He thought about the ancient warnings, carved in stone by dead civilizations. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Zexthul began to wonder if those warnings might have been true. Admiral Zexthul paced back and forth in his command center, his forearms clenched into fists. The reports coming in from his damaged ships painted a picture he refused to accept. Primitive humans had actually hurt his fleet. The thought burned in his mind like acid. "Sir," Captain Vexidal approached carefully, "perhaps we should consider a tactical withdrawal. We could return with a larger force." Zexthul spun around, his eyes blazing with fury. "Withdrawal? You want me to run from creatures who still use chemical rockets? Do you know what the High Command would say if I retreated from a primitive species?" "Sir, they're not as primitive as we thought. Their weapons technology is unusual but effective. They got lucky." Zexthul slammed his fist on the command table. "They caught us off guard with their crude metal projectiles. Now we know what to expect. Adjust our shield frequencies to stop solid objects. Deploy our point defense systems. We'll crush them properly this time." Around the command center, his officers exchanged worried glances. The humans had done more than get lucky. They had shown a kind of tactical thinking that no one in the hegemony had seen before. "Admiral," the tactical officer called out, "the humans are moving again. Multiple ships leaving Earth orbit." "How many?" "Approximately 2,000 vessels, sir. Much larger than their first wave." Zexthul smiled grimly. "Good. Let them come. This time we'll show them what real weapons can do." But as the human fleet approached, the aliens began to notice something disturbing. The human ships weren't trying to avoid the hegemony vessels. Instead, they were heading straight for them at maximum speed. "Sir," the sensor officer reported, his voice shaking, "the lead human ships aren't slowing down. They're going to ram us." "Impossible. No rational commander would sacrifice ships in suicide attacks." The first human vessel, a battered-looking freighter, slammed into a hegemony battlecruiser at full speed. The explosion lit up space for thousands of kilometers. When the light faded, both ships were gone. "They're all doing it," the tactical officer screamed. "Every human ship is on a collision course." Zexthul watched in horror as human vessels of every size crashed into his fleet. Cargo ships, mining vessels, even converted passenger liners hurled themselves at his warships like guided meteors. The humans had turned their entire civilian fleet into weapons. "Evasive maneuvers," he ordered. "All ships, avoid the human vessels." But the hegemony ships were huge and slow. The human vessels were smaller and faster. Worse, they seemed to know exactly where the alien ships would try to dodge. Every evasive maneuver led directly into another human ramming attack. Then the real horror began. "Admiral," the communications officer said, his voice barely above a whisper, "we're intercepting human transmissions." "What are they saying?" They're saying goodbye to their families. All of them. Every ship that's about to ram us has crew members talking to their loved ones. Zexthul listened to the intercepted communications with growing disbelief. Tell Mom I love her and that this is for Earth. Sarah, take care of the kids. Daddy's going to stop the bad aliens. This is Captain Martinez of the freighter Lucky Strike. We're going to ram that big ugly ship in 30 seconds. It's been an honor flying with you all. The humans weren't just sacrificing their ships. They were sacrificing their lives willingly and gladly to hurt the hegemony fleet. What kind of species does this? Zexthul demanded. What kind of creatures throw their lives away so easily? His answer came in the form of more intercepted transmissions. Remember, aim for the bridge section. That's where their command crew will be. If we're going to die, let's take as many of these bastards with us as possible. For Earth, for humanity. The human ramming attacks continued for 2 hours. By the end, the hegemony fleet had lost over 100 ships. But the psychological damage was far worse than the physical losses. Sir, the medical officer reported, we're receiving reports of panic attacks and nervous breakdowns among the crew. Many officers are refusing to come on duty. Why? Zexthul asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. They're terrified of the humans, sir. No one in the fleet has ever faced an enemy that seems to enjoy dying as much as killing. The Admiral looked at his tactical display. The remaining human ships had pulled back to Earth orbit, but they weren't retreating. Intelligence reports showed massive activity on the planet's surface. Factories working around the clock. Military bases launching new spacecraft. The humans were preparing for something big. Admiral, Captain Vexdal approached again. I'm receiving strange reports from our long-range sensors. What kind of reports? The humans appear to be moving asteroids, large ones. They're using some kind of propulsion system to change their orbits. Zexthul studied the sensor readings. The humans had attached rocket engines to dozens of asteroids, pushing them into new trajectories. What are they planning? He got his answer an hour later when the first asteroid, moving at incredible speed, slammed into one of his outer patrol ships. The vessel simply vanished in a cloud of debris. They're using their entire solar system as a weapon, Vexdal whispered. More asteroids followed. The humans had somehow calculated the exact orbits needed to turn space rocks into guided missiles. They were using gravity itself as a targeting system, slingshotting asteroids around planets and moons to hit the alien fleet. This is impossible, Zexthul muttered. The mathematical calculations alone would require supercomputers. Sir, the sensor officer called out, we're detecting new activity around their gas giant, the planet they call Jupiter. The display showed Jupiter's system of moons. But as Zexthul watched, several of the smaller moons began to move. They weren't natural satellites at all. They were massive space stations, disguised to look like celestial bodies. How long have those been there? He demanded. Unknown, sir. Our sensors show they've been in position for decades, possibly centuries. The false moons opened fire. Beams of coherent energy lanced across space, cutting through hegemony shields like they were made of tissue paper. But these weren't normal energy weapons. The humans had somehow weaponized gravity itself, creating beams that warped space-time. Admiral, the tactical officer reported, panic clear in his voice. We're losing ships faster than I can count them. The humans have turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Zexthul stared at the tactical display as red icons representing his ships winked out one by one. In just a few hours, his mighty fleet had been reduced to half strength by primitives, who supposedly didn't even have faster-than-light travel. Sir, the communications officer interrupted, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. The screen filled with the image of an elderly human man in a military uniform. He looked calm, almost grandfatherly, but his eyes held a coldness that made Zexthul's blood freeze. This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force, the human said. I believe you've met my daughter Sarah. I wanted to personally thank you for giving us such excellent target practice. It's been years since we've had the chance to test our weapons on live targets. The human paused, his expression never changing. You're probably wondering how we knew you were coming. The truth is, we've been monitoring your communications for months. We speak your language better than you do. We know your tactics, your weaknesses, and your fears. Zexthul felt his heart skip a beat. The humans had been watching them, listening to their private communications. "You see, Admiral," the human continued, "we've been preparing for this day for a very long time. Every human child learns about the day when aliens would come to conquer Earth. We've been ready for you since before you were born." The transmission ended, leaving Zexthul staring at a blank screen. Around him, his command center was in chaos. Officers shouted conflicting reports. Alarms blared warnings about incoming attacks. The smell of fear filled the recycled air. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Zexthul began to understand what true terror felt like. The humans weren't just defending their planet. They were hunting his fleet like predators, stalking wounded prey. And somewhere in the depths of his mind, a terrible thought began to form. What if the ancient warnings had been right all along? In the deepest bunkers beneath Geneva, General Harrison watched thousands of screens showing the battle raging in Earth's orbit. Each display showed a different part of the carefully planned defense that humanity had been preparing for over 50 years. "Phase 1 complete," reported Colonel Martinez from the Tactical Center. "The aliens have committed their entire fleet to Earth's gravity well." "Casualties?" Harrison asked. "Within acceptable parameters. We've lost approximately 15% of our decoy fleet." Harrison nodded. The ships that had been ramming the alien vessels weren't humanity's real military. They were civilian volunteers, converted freighters, and obsolete military hardware. Their sacrifice had served two purposes. It had fooled the aliens into thinking they were fighting Earth's main defense force, and it had drawn the entire enemy fleet deep into the solar system where they couldn't escape. "Sir," called Lieutenant Park from the communication station, "Admiral Zexthul is requesting reinforcements from his second fleet." "Perfect. How long until they arrive?" "Approximately 6 hours at their current speed." Harrison smiled grimly. 6 hours would give them enough time to spring the real trap. "Begin Phase 2. Activate all hidden installations." Across the solar system, concealed human bases came online. What the aliens had thought was empty space suddenly filled with weapons, platforms, sensor arrays, and massive railgun batteries. The asteroid belt, which had seemed like a random collection of space rocks, revealed itself to be humanity's largest military installation. Admiral Zexthul watched in growing horror as his sensor displays lit up with new contacts. Thousands of human installations that had been invisible just moments before now showed clearly on his screens. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our sensors are the most advanced in the galaxy, sir," his science officer replied. "The humans appear to have been using stealth technology that we've never encountered. They've been hiding entire fleets in plain sight. The first salvo from the hidden bases struck the hegemony fleet like a hammer blow. Unlike the crude kinetic weapons from the first wave, these were sophisticated energy weapons that punched through alien shields with terrifying efficiency." But the real surprise came from the Human Cyber Warfare Division. Dr. Sarah Kim, head of Earth's Computer Security Department, had been studying alien technology from captured probes for decades. She knew their computer systems better than the aliens themselves. "Begin electronic infiltration," she ordered her team. Across thousands of human installations, quantum computers began their assault on the alien fleet's electronic systems. Within minutes, hegemony ships found their own computers turning against them. Navigation systems failed. Weapons fired at friendly ships. Life support systems shut down without warning. "Admiral," the tactical officer screamed, "our ships are attacking each other. I can't control them." Zexthul watched helplessly as his own vessels turned their guns on their neighbors. The humans had somehow taken control of his fleet's computer systems. But how was that possible? Hegemony encryption was supposed to be unbreakable. His answer came in the form of a new transmission from Earth. This time, the human on the screen was a young woman with bright eyes and a cheerful smile. "Hi there," she said in perfect Kethmaran, speaking the alien language as if she had been born to it. "I'm Sarah Kim, and I've been having so much fun playing with your computer systems. Did you know that your security protocols have a back door that's been there for over 1,000 years? Really sloppy programming, if you ask me." Zexthul's blood ran cold. The humans had not only learned their language but had discovered vulnerabilities in their most secure systems. Oh, and Admiral Zexthul, the human continued, still smiling brightly. We've been listening to all your communications for months. We know about your secret bases, your supply lines, and your plans to call for reinforcements. In fact, we know your battle plans better than you do. The transmission shifted to show tactical displays that perfectly matched the ones on Zexthul's own ship. The humans had been inside their computer networks the entire time. We also took the liberty of studying your psychology files, Dr. Kim added. Did you know that Kethmorans have an instinctive fear of being trapped in small spaces? And that your species becomes disoriented when exposed to certain sound frequencies? We've been preparing some special surprises just for you. As if on cue, every speaker in the alien fleet began broadcasting a low-pitched hum that sent waves of panic through the Kethmoran crews. The sound was perfectly calibrated to trigger their deepest evolutionary fears. But the humans weren't finished. From hidden installations throughout the solar system, they began broadcasting psychological warfare directly into the alien ships. Every screen showed images designed to terrify the specific species aboard each vessel. Every speaker played sounds that triggered primal fear responses. Make it stop, Zexthul ordered. But his communications officer was curled up on the floor, overwhelmed by terror. The psychological assault was followed by something even worse. Human boarding pods launched from concealed positions began attaching to hegemony ships. But when the aliens prepared to repel boarders, they discovered that the pods weren't carrying soldiers. Instead, they carried nanobots, microscopic machines that swarmed through the alien ships, disabling systems and turning the vessel's own infrastructure against their crews. Life support shut down. Gravity generators failed. Emergency systems activated randomly, filling corridors with foam or poison. Gas. Sir, Captain Vexdal gasped, struggling to breathe as his ship's atmosphere grew thin. We have to abandon ship. No, Zexthul snarled. The hegemony does not retreat. But his defiance meant nothing. All around him, his mighty fleet was being systematically destroyed by an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. The humans weren't just winning the battle. They were demonstrating a level of tactical sophistication that made the hegemony look like amateurs. Then the second fleet arrived. Admiral Klexmore, commander of the reinforcement fleet, dropped out of hyperspace expecting to find the third fleet, mopping up the last human resistance. Instead, he found himself looking at the wreckage of half the hegemony's most powerful warships. Admiral Zexthul, he broadcast, what is your status? Zexthul's reply came through heavy static, his voice filled with desperation. Klexmore, you have to get your ships out of here. It's a trap. The humans are not what they appear to be. But it was too late. The moment the second fleet entered the solar system, hidden human weapons platforms opened fire. The same electronic warfare that had crippled the third fleet immediately began working on the new arrivals. General Harrison watched from his command bunker as both alien fleets struggled against humanity's trap. Phase 3, he ordered. Deploy. The real fleet. From concealed bases in Earth's oceans, massive human dreadnoughts began to rise. Each ship was larger than anything the aliens had brought, bristling with weapons that had never been seen outside of theoretical physics papers. These were humanity's true warships, built in secret over decades and hidden beneath miles of ocean. Water, Admiral Chen, Sarah's father, stood on the bridge of the flagship Retribution. Around him, the most experienced military officers in human history prepared for the final phase of Earth's defense. All ships, he broadcast, this is what we trained for. Show these aliens why Earth is forbidden territory. The human dreadnoughts opened fire with weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Gravity beams that crushed ships like tin cans. Energy weapons that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Missiles that traveled through folded space-time to strike their targets from impossible angles. Admiral Zexthul watched his combined fleet die around him. In less than 12 hours, 50,000 hegemony vessels had been reduced to scattered debris. The humans had not just defeated them, they had utterly annihilated two of the galaxy's most powerful fleets. How? He whispered to himself. How? Are they so advanced? His answer came from one final transmission. General Harrison appeared on his screen, looking like a kindly grandfather, despite commanding the most devastating military force the galaxy had ever seen. "You want to know our secret, Admiral?" the old man asked. "It's simple. While your species became civilized and forgot how to fight, we never stopped preparing for war. Every human conflict, every battle we've ever fought, was practice for this moment." Harrison paused, his expression growing cold. "You see, Admiral, humans don't just fight to win. We fight because we're good at it, because we enjoy it, because turning our enemies into smoking craters makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside." The transmission ended, leaving Zexthul alone with the terrible knowledge that his species had made the greatest mistake in galactic history. They had attacked the one world they should have left alone. The trap was complete. The hegemony's finest fleets were destroyed, and somewhere in the depths of space, humanity began preparing to take their war to the stars. Admiral Zexthul floated in the wreckage of his command ship, his forearms wrapped around a piece of twisted metal that had once been his command chair. Around him, the scattered remains of the most powerful fleet in hegemony history drifted silently through space. His personal communicator crackled to life. Through the static, he could hear the panicked voices of his surviving officers. "Main engines are gone. Life support failing. We're being boarded. The humans are inside the ship. They're not taking prisoners. They're studying us while we're still alive." Zexthul tried to respond, but his throat was too dry to speak. In less than 24 hours, everything he had believed about warfare, about the hegemony's power, about the natural order of the galaxy, had been proven wrong. A shadow fell across his viewport. He looked up to see a human ship approaching. Not one of their massive dreadnoughts, but a smaller vessel that moved with predatory grace. As he watched, it extended mechanical arms that grabbed his ship and pulled it close. The airlock opened with a hiss, and humans in powered armor stepped inside. But these weren't the primitive savages from the intelligence reports. Their armor was more advanced than anything the hegemony possessed, covered in sensors and weapons that seemed to exist beyond normal physics. The lead human removed her helmet, revealing the face of Captain Sarah Chen. She looked at Zexthul without hatred or anger, just professional curiosity. "Admiral," she said in perfect Kethmaran, "you're coming with us. My father wants to meet you." Zexthul was transported to the human flagship, a vessel so large it could have served as a mobile planet. The corridors were filled with humans of every age, from children barely old enough to walk to elderly individuals who moved with the confidence of lifelong warriors. "Your entire species serves in your military?" Zexthul asked weakly. Sarah smiled. "Every human learns to fight. It's part of growing up. By the time we're 10 years old, we can field strip a rifle. By 15, we can pilot fighters. By 20, we're ready for real war." They entered a vast chamber where Admiral Chen waited. The old man sat behind a simple desk, looking like he was conducting a business meeting rather than interrogating a prisoner of war. "Admiral Zexthul," Chen said politely, "please sit down. We have much to discuss." Zexthul slumped into the offered chair. "You're going to torture me for information?" "Torture?" Chen looked genuinely surprised. "Admiral, we've been monitoring your communications for months. We know everything about your fleet, your tactics, your technology, and your empire. We don't need to torture you." He activated a holographic display that showed the entire Kethmaran hegemony. Every world, every ship, every military installation was marked and cataloged. "We know that your homeworld has 3 major cities protected by energy shields. We know that your second battle fleet is stationed at Kepler Station. We know that your emperor is planning to send a punitive expedition to Earth with 500,000 ships." Zexthul stared at the display in horror. The humans knew everything. "How long have you been watching us?" he whispered. "Since you first left your home solar system," Chen replied. "Every time you conquered a new species, some of them escaped. They came to Earth, the one place in the galaxy where refugees could find protection. Over centuries, we've learned about every major civilization in the galaxy." Chen stood and walked to a window that showed Earth in the distance. You see, Admiral, your species made a fundamental error in judgment. You assumed that because we hadn't developed faster than light travel, we were primitive. But the truth is, we didn't need to leave our solar system. Everyone came to us. The display shifted to show hundreds of different alien species living on Earth and its colonies. Every refugee taught us something new. New technologies, new fighting techniques, new ways to kill our enemies. We've had 1,000 years to prepare for this moment. Zexthul felt his remaining hope die. What are you going to do to my people? Chen's expression didn't change. That depends on your emperor. If he's smart, he'll issue a formal apology, pay reparations for the damage you've caused, and promise to never enter our region of space again. And if he refuses? Chen smiled, and for the first time, Zexthul saw the predator that lurked behind the old man's kindly appearance. Then we'll show the galaxy why every smart species has been warning people to stay away from Earth. The Admiral was taken to a detention cell, but it wasn't like any prison he had ever seen. The walls were transparent, giving him a perfect view of what was happening outside his window. Human technicians were dissecting the remains of hegemony ships with scientific precision. Every piece of alien technology was being studied, catalogued, and reverse-engineered. But more disturbing were the human soldiers who moved among the wreckage. They weren't acting like victorious warriors. They were acting like excited children who had just received new toys. Zexthul watched in horror as human troops laughed and joked while examining hegemony weapons. Some of them were taking souvenirs. Others were posing for pictures next to the corpses of his officers. They enjoy this, he muttered to himself. They actually enjoy killing. His cell door opened, and Sarah Chen entered carrying a data pad. Admiral, she said, I thought you should know. We just received word from your emperor. Zexthul looked up hopefully. He's agreed to your terms? Sarah shook her head. He's mobilized every fleet in the hegemony. 1 million ships are heading for Earth. The alien admiral felt his heart stop. No, he can't be that stupid. I'm afraid he is. He's declared that humanity must be exterminated to preserve hegemony honor. The entire fleet will arrive in approximately 1 standard month. Sarah paused at the door. Oh, and Admiral, my father asked me to give you a message. He said to tell you that 1 million ships sounds like a fair fight. Alone in his cell, Zexthul finally understood the truth. The humans hadn't been defending their planet. They had been hunting. Earth wasn't a fortress. It was bait, and his species had taken it. Over the following weeks, he watched through his window as humanity prepared for the greatest battle in galactic history. The construction, ships that emerged from Earth's hidden bases were larger than anything he had ever imagined. They built weapons platforms the size of moons, armed with devices that seemed to violate the fundamental laws of physics. But the most terrifying sight was the human fleet itself. The dreadnoughts that had destroyed his armada were nothing compared to the vessels now emerging from Earth's deepest ocean trenches. Ships that looked like they had been designed by gods of war, each one bristling with enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems. They were holding back, he whispered to himself. Everything they used against us was just their light forces. When the hegemony's 1,000,000-ship armada finally arrived, Zexthul expected to feel some satisfaction at seeing his enemies finally face overwhelming odds. Instead, he felt only pity for his own species. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, not a single hegemony ship remained intact. 1 million vessels, the combined might of an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years, had been reduced to glowing plasma and scattered debris. Admiral Chen visited Zexthul's cell one final time. The old man looked tired but satisfied, like someone who had just finished a particularly challenging chess game. It's over, Chen said simply. Your empire no longer exists. You killed them all? Not all. We accepted the surrender of approximately 200,000 ships. Their crews are being relocated to refugee camps on our outer colonies. The ones who chose to fight to the end, well, they got their wish. Chen sat down across from the broken alien admiral. I want you to record a message, Admiral. Something that will be transmitted across the galaxy to every species that's still listening. What do you want me to say? The truth. Tell them what happens when someone ignores the warnings about Earth. Zexthul looked at the recording device with shaking hands. When he began to speak, his voice was barely above a whisper. This is Admiral Zexthul of the former Kethmaran hegemony. To all civilizations receiving this message, know that the ancient warnings about the Sol system are true. The humans are not a primitive species. They are apex predators who have spent millennia preparing for war. He paused, gathering strength. We came to their system with 50,000 ships, then 1,000,000. All are gone. The humans destroyed us not because they had better technology, but because they understand something we had forgotten. War is not about honor or glory. It is about survival, and humans are the ultimate survivors. His voice grew stronger as he continued. Do not approach Earth. Do not threaten humanity. Do not even think hostile thoughts about their species. They have turned their entire civilization into a weapon, and they are very, very good at using it. The recording ended. Admiral Chen nodded approvingly. Thank you, Admiral. This message will be broadcast to every inhabited world in the galaxy. What happens to me now? You have a choice. You can join the other refugees on our outer colonies, help them build new lives away from war, or you can return to what's left of your territory and try to rebuild your civilization. Zexthul looked out the window at the vast human fleet that now filled Earth's orbit. And if I choose to leave? You'll carry a message to anyone who's still listening. Tell them that Earth. The night was quiet in Lakeside, Wyoming. Stars shone brightly above the small town. Most people were asleep in their beds. William Carter checked on his children one last time before going to bed himself. His son Jack, 13 years old, slept, with his space model hanging above his bed. His daughter Emma, only 8, clutched her favorite stuffed rabbit. William smiled at the peaceful sight. Both asleep? Lisa Carter asked when her husband returned to their bedroom. Out like lights, William said. He kissed his wife goodnight and turned off the lamp. The Carters did not know that this ordinary night would change everything. At exactly 2:17 a.m., a shadow fell over Lakeside. No one noticed at first. The massive shape blocked the stars as it moved silently through the night sky. It was larger than any aircraft built by humans. Its surface absorbed light instead of reflecting it. The first person to notice was old Mrs. Winters, who couldn't sleep and was looking out her window. She saw the stars disappear and thought her eyes were playing tricks. Then she saw the lights, strange blue beams shooting down from the dark shape above. One of these beams touched the Carter house. Inside Jack's room, the blue light came through the window. It moved across the floor like something alive. Jack opened his eyes just as the light reached his bed. He tried to scream but couldn't. His body felt frozen. The light surrounded him, lifting him gently from his bed. Through the wall, he could sense the same thing happening to Emma. All across town, 37 children between ages 5 and 14 floated upward in beams of blue light. They passed through solid ceilings and roofs as if these were not there. Up and up they went into the massive ship above. William woke suddenly. He felt something was wrong. The house was too quiet. Lisa. He shook his wife awake. Something's not right. They checked the children's rooms. Empty beds, open windows that had been closed. No sign of forced entry. No footprints. Nothing. Jack. Emma, William shouted, running through the house. Lisa called 911 with shaking hands. All across Lakeside, parents were making the same terrible discovery. Children gone without a trace. By morning, the small town was filled with police cars, news vans, and military vehicles. Colonel Diana Foster stepped out of a black SUV surveying the scene. This was the 5th town with the same pattern. She approached the Carter house where William and Lisa sat on their front porch, looking shell-shocked. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, I'm Colonel Foster. I need to speak with you about what happened last night. Our children are gone, Lisa said, her voice hollow. Jack and Emma just vanished. You're not alone, Colonel Foster said. 37 children disappeared from Lakeside last night. And it's not just happening here. William looked up sharply. What do you mean? Similar incidents have been reported globally. Over 1,000 children worldwide vanished last night. all at exactly the same time. How is that possible? William asked. Before Colonel Foster could answer, her phone buzzed. Her face went pale as she read the message. Turn on your TV, she said. Any channel. William turned on the television. Every channel showed the same image. A creature unlike anything they had ever seen. It stood nearly 12 feet tall with 4 arms and a hard shell covering its body. Its head had large compound eyes that reflected light like black mirrors. People of Earth, the creature spoke in perfect English. I am Grievous. I have taken your offspring as specimens for my collection. Lisa gasped, clutching William's hand. Do not be concerned for their well-being. They will be properly maintained. However, any attempt to retrieve them will result in their immediate termination. The alien shifted, revealing a glimpse of a massive chamber behind it. Hundreds of transparent cells filled the space. Inside each one, a child floated, apparently asleep. Your militaries have already detected my vessel. Any aggressive action will be met with consequences beyond your comprehension. You have 72 hours to broadcast your unconditional surrender on all frequencies. If you comply, your species will continue under my guidance. If you refuse, the alien made a strange clicking sound. I will ensure chaos reigns on your world while I depart with your genetic legacy. The broadcast ended abruptly, returning to regular programming where panicked news anchors tried to make sense of what had just happened. Colonel Foster's phone rang continuously. I have to get back to headquarters, she said. The president is calling an emergency meeting. Take me with you, William said suddenly. Excuse me? I was a military engineer before I retired. I specialized in spacecraft design. If that thing is hiding somewhere in our solar system, I might be able to help find it. Colonel Foster studied him for a moment. What about your wife? Lisa stood up, wiping tears from her face. I'm coming too. I have medical training. If we find our children, they might need help, the colonel nodded. We need all the help we can get, follow me. As they drove toward the military base outside of town, William looked up at the morning sky. It seemed impossible that somewhere beyond that peaceful blue, a monster held their children hostage. On the alien ship, Jack Carter woke up floating in a transparent cell. His first thought was for his sister. Emma, he called out, pressing his hands against the clear barrier. Jack? Emma's voice came through somehow, though he couldn't see her. Where are we? I don't know, but we're going to be okay, he promised, hoping it wasn't a lie. Jack looked around at the vast chamber. Hundreds of cells like his stretched in all directions. In many of them he could see other children, some from Lakeside, others he didn't recognize. Some didn't even look human. A small girl in the cell next to his caught his attention. She looked almost human except for her silvery skin and completely black eyes. Hello, she said, her voice somehow reaching his mind rather than his ears. My name is Zara. You are new to the collection. Collection? Jack asked, finding he could respond the same way. Grievous collects young ones from many worlds. You are not the first, and sadly you will not be the last. Our parents will come for us, Jack said firmly. Zara's expression showed both pity and hope. No species has ever succeeded in retrieving their young from Grievous. She paused. But perhaps humans will be different. There is something about you that interests Grievous more than the others. What do you mean? He usually takes only a few specimens from each world. From yours he has taken many. He watches you all constantly. Jack felt a chill. Can we escape? The chambers cannot be broken from inside, Zara explained. But perhaps... She hesitated. Perhaps we can help, those who might come looking for us. How? I can teach you to communicate with the others like we are doing now. Together, perhaps we can cause distractions. Jack nodded, a spark of determination replacing his fear. Teach me. As William and Lisa raced toward an uncertain confrontation with an alien collector, their son began forming the first resistance aboard the ship. A silent rebellion of children who refused to be specimens in a cosmic zoo. The military base buzzed with activity. People in uniforms rushed back and forth between buildings. William and Lisa followed Colonel Foster into a large underground room filled with screens and maps. "This is our command center," Colonel Foster explained. "Every major government is watching the same information. We have 48 hours left before the aliens' deadline." On the main screen, experts analyzed the brief video message from Grievous. Another screen showed a blurry image of the massive alien ship, now hiding behind the moon. "Have they decided what to do?" William asked. Colonel Foster's face hardened. "Some want to surrender, others want to attack. Neither option saves the children." "There must be another way," Lisa said. A tall man with glasses approached them. "I'm Dr. Alan Murphy, Xenobiology Department. You must be the Carters." Colonel Foster nodded. "Dr. Murphy has been studying everything we know about the alien." "Which isn't much," Dr. Murphy admitted. "But I've noticed something interesting about the ship's energy field." He pointed to another screen showing data charts. "It has a pattern. Every 14 hours, a small maintenance hatch opens for about 40 seconds to release waste material." William leaned forward. "That could be our way in." "Exactly what I was thinking," said a new voice. A man with dark hair and a serious face joined them. "Sam Reeves, Special Forces. I specialize in hostage rescue." "And I'm Kate Lewis," said a younger woman wearing glasses and typing rapidly on a laptop. "I can hack into almost anything." Colonel Foster looked at the small group. "I've selected each of you because you have skills we need. This mission is not authorized by any government. If we fail, no one will acknowledge we ever existed." "What about the deadline?" Lisa asked. "The world leaders will keep negotiating, buying us time. Meanwhile, we go after the children." "When do we leave?" William asked. "The next window opens in 10 hours. We'll use a stealth shuttle." Sam began explaining the tactical approach while Kate worked on a way to track the children once they were aboard. Dr. Murphy prepared special equipment to navigate the alien environment. Lisa pulled Colonel Foster aside. "I need to ask you something." "Why us? Why are you letting us come on this mission?" Colonel Foster's expression softened slightly. "Because parents will fight harder than anyone else to save their children, and because William's engineering skills may keep us all alive up there." Meanwhile, aboard the alien ship, Jack had learned to expand his mental communication. He could now reach most of the human children and some of the alien ones. They formed a secret network, sharing information about the ship and their captor. "Grievous checks the human section 3 times each day cycle," Zara told Jack mentally. "He is most interested in your kind." "Why?" Jack asked. "He believes humans have something special, a quality his own species lost long ago." Jack had been teaching the other children to cause small problems around the ship. They discovered they could affect some systems with their minds. When they focused together, they could dim lights or change room temperatures. "It's not much," Jack told Emma, who floated in a cell he couldn't see. "But it's something." "I'm scared, Jack," Emma admitted. "I know, but I promise we'll go home soon." Emma was quiet for a moment. "Jack, I can feel something, like a tiny voice, far away. It feels like—" "Mom," Jack concentrated. Emma was right. Somehow he could sense their mother's presence getting closer. "They're coming for us," he whispered in amazement. The stealth shuttle left Earth under cover of darkness. It was barely larger than a bus, painted black to blend with space. Inside, the rescue team prepared their equipment. William studied the alien ship's schematics they had created from satellite images. "The maintenance hatch should be here," he pointed, "if Dr. Murphy's calculations are correct." "They are," Dr. Murphy said, adjusting his spacesuit. "But we'll only have 40 seconds to get inside before it closes." "And then we find our children," Lisa said, checking her medical supplies. Sam handed out weapons, special stun guns designed to work against unknown biology. "Remember, we don't know what's waiting for us in there. Stay together and stay quiet." Kate finished programming her tablet. "I've created a translation program based on the alien's message. It might help us understand any writing or commands we find." Colonel Foster took the pilot's seat. We're approaching the dark side of the moon. Sensors show the alien ship exactly where we predicted. The massive vessel came into view. It was unlike any spacecraft humans had built, more like a giant sea creature than a machine. Its surface rippled slightly as if breathing. Energy readings are increasing, Dr. Murphy said. The maintenance cycle is starting. Colonel Foster guided their shuttle toward the designated area. A small section of the alien ship began to move, creating an opening. Debris floated out into space. That's our door, Colonel Foster said. Get ready. The shuttle moved closer. When they were near enough, Sam attached a magnetic bridge between their door and the alien ship's opening. Go now, Colonel Foster ordered. I'll keep the shuttle hidden nearby. The team rushed across the magnetic bridge floating in zero gravity. William went first, then Sam, Kate, Dr. Murphy, and finally Lisa. Just as she entered, the alien hatch began closing. Move! Sam pulled her inside as the opening sealed behind them. They were in. The interior was dimly lit with a strange blue glow. The walls looked partly mechanical and partly organic, pulsing slightly like a heartbeat. Air readings are normal, Dr. Murphy whispered, checking his equipment. We can remove our helmets. As they took off their helmets, they noticed the gravity was similar to Earth's. The corridor stretched in both directions, curving gently. Which way? Lisa asked. Kate consulted her tablet. I'm detecting power signatures that way. She pointed left. Could be the central control area. And hopefully where they're keeping the children, William added. They moved cautiously down the corridor. Strange symbols covered the walls, shifting and changing as they watched. My translator is working on these, Kate whispered. They seem to be some kind of living computer system. Suddenly, the corridor in front of them began to change shape. The walls moved like liquid, forming a new passage. The ship is rearranging itself, Dr. Murphy said in awe. It's responding to our presence. Is it trying to trap us? Sam asked, readying his weapon. I don't think so, William said. Look, it's opening a path. The new passage led them deeper into the ship. As they walked, William felt something strange, a familiar sensation in his mind. Jack, he whispered. Lisa grabbed his arm. You feel it too? Our children, they're reaching out to us somehow. Kate looked at her equipment. I'm picking up unusual brain activity. It's like telepathic communication. The children must have developed this ability while captive, Dr. Murphy suggested. They're trying to help us. Then let's not keep them waiting, Sam said, leading them forward. What they didn't know was that Grievous had also sensed their arrival. In the central chamber, the alien collector watched them on a floating screen. Next to him, a smaller alien with similar features but silvery skin observed with interest. Humans, Grievous said in his clicking language. They are persistent. Perhaps they deserve to recover their young, the smaller alien suggested. That is not how the collection works, child, Grievous replied. We must determine if they are worthy of survival. And if they are? Grievous's compound eyes shifted. Then we face a difficult choice. Deep within the ship, Jack felt his parents getting closer. He gathered his mental strength and reached out to all the children. They're here, he told them. Now we show them the way. The rescue team moved deeper into the alien ship. The walls around them pulsed with blue light. Strange sounds echoed through the corridors, clicks and hums unlike anything on Earth. Which way now? Sam asked, his weapon ready. Kate checked her tablet. The signals are stronger to the right. I think the children are that way. They turned into a wider passage. The floor beneath them felt soft, almost like walking on flesh rather than metal. Dr. Murphy touched the wall carefully. Fascinating, he whispered. The ship is partially alive. These aren't just machines, they're grown. Stay focused, William reminded him. We need to find the central chamber. Lisa closed her eyes for a moment. I can feel them better now. Jack and Emma, they know we're here. The team continued forward until they reached a junction where 3 corridors met. As they hesitated, the lights in the right passage brightened slightly. "I think the children are trying to guide us," Lisa said. They followed the brightened path. Behind them, unknown to the team, small floating objects began to emerge from the walls. Each was about the size of a baseball with a glowing red center. These were Grievous's hunter drones designed to find intruders. Jack concentrated harder than he ever had before. He reached out with his mind, connecting with all the human children at once. "Focus on the lights," he told them. "Show them the safe path." Emma added her strength to his. Together they managed to brighten certain corridors while dimming others. In his transparent cell, Jack's nose began to bleed from the effort. Zara noticed his distress. "You are hurting yourself," she warned. "It doesn't matter," Jack replied. "My parents are coming. I have to help them." "Let me assist you," Zara offered. Her silvery skin began to glow slightly as she joined her mental power with his. With Zara's help, Jack found he could do more than just control lights. He could sense where Grievous's drones were moving. "There are machines following our parents," he told the other children. "We need to distract them." Throughout the ship, captured children focused their minds on different systems. Temperature controls fluctuated. Doors opened and closed randomly. The living walls of the ship quivered in confusion. In the central control room, Grievous noticed the disturbances. "The specimens are causing trouble," he clicked to his smaller companion. "Activate the containment protocols." "Father," the smaller alien said, "perhaps we should observe how they coordinate. It is unusual." "Your interest in these humans concerns me, Zara," Grievous replied. "Remember our purpose." Meanwhile, the rescue team encountered their first real obstacle, a large circular door blocking the corridor. "I can't hack this," Kate said after trying. "It's not responding to any commands." Sam examined the door carefully. "We could try to force it, but that might alert the whole ship to our presence." As they considered their options, the door suddenly slid open on its own. They looked at each other in surprise. "The children," Lisa whispered. "They're helping us." They moved through the doorway into a vast chamber filled with strange equipment. Transparent tubes ran from floor to ceiling, carrying colorful liquids. In the center stood what looked like a control panel with no buttons, just glowing symbols that changed constantly. "This must be some kind of laboratory," Dr. Murphy said. William approached the central panel. "If I could understand how this works, maybe we could shut down the containment systems holding the children." Kate joined him, her tablet scanning the alien symbols. "I'm getting partial translations. This seems to be a ship-wide monitoring station. It shows all the different sections." One of the symbols pulsed more brightly than the others. When Kate touched it, a 3-dimensional image appeared above the panel, a map of the entire ship. One large chamber near the center glowed with hundreds of tiny lights. "That has to be where they're keeping the children," William said. Sam pointed to their current location on the map. "We need to go up 2 levels and across this main section." Just as they were memorizing the route, alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed throughout the chamber. "We've been detected," Sam warned, raising his weapon. From all directions, small floating drones rushed into the room. Their red centers glowed menacingly as they surrounded the team. "Don't move," Sam ordered. "Everyone." These things might be motion sensitive. Dr. Murphy studied the drones with scientific curiosity despite the danger. "They're scanning us, probably reporting back to the main control system." The drones hovered closer, forming a tight circle around them. Just as they seemed ready to attack, all the drones suddenly dropped to the floor, their lights fading. "What happened?" Lisa asked. Kate smiled in amazement. "The children. They must have figured out how to disable the security systems." "We need to move quickly," Sam urged. "This advantage won't last long." They hurried from the laboratory, following the map Kate had memorized. They climbed through narrow passages and crossed wide chambers filled with alien technology. While they could feel the children's presence growing stronger. Jack was exhausted but determined. Disabling the drones had taken all his strength and Zara's help. Many of the other children were also tired from their mental efforts. "We can't keep this up much longer," he told Zara. "You don't need to," she replied. "They are very close now, but there is something you should know. My father will not give up easily." "Your father?" Jack asked in confusion. "Grievous. I am his offspring. I was placed among the specimens to learn about them." Jack felt betrayed. "You've been helping him all along?" "No," Zara said firmly. "I have been learning truth. What my father does is wrong. Taking young ones from their families causes pain. I see this now." Before Jack could respond, the mental connection between them suddenly strengthened. Through Zara's mind, he could see what was happening in the control room. Grievous was angry. His massive form moved rapidly between control panels. "The humans have disabled the hunter drones. How is this possible?" The image shifted, and Jack could see a large screen showing the rescue team. They were now just one level below the central chamber where all the children were kept. "Father, please," Zara's voice came through the vision. "These humans show remarkable abilities. They coordinate across great distances. They adapt quickly. Perhaps they deserve to be studied differently." "Silence," Grievous commanded. "I will handle this myself." Jack broke the connection, returning to his own mind. He reached out to his sister and the other children. "Our parents are almost here," he told them. "But Grievous is coming too. We need to be ready." The rescue team reached the final entrance to the central chamber. It was a massive door, larger than any they had seen before. "This is it," William said. "Our children are on the other side." The door was too complex for Kate to hack and too strong for Sam to force open. As they searched for a way through, Lisa placed her hand against the surface. "Jack, Emma," she whispered. "We're here." On the other side, hundreds of children floated in their transparent cells. Jack and Emma Carter focused all their remaining mental energy on the door that separated them from their parents. Slowly, with great effort, the massive door began to open. The massive door opened slowly. The rescue team stood ready, weapons raised, not knowing what awaited them. When the gap was wide enough, they slipped through into the central chamber. What they saw left them speechless. The chamber was enormous, larger than a football stadium. Floating in the air were hundreds of transparent cells. Each cell held a child suspended in a gentle blue light. Some were human children. Others were clearly from different worlds, with extra limbs, unusual skin, colors, or strange features. "Jack, Emma!" Lisa called out, scanning the cells frantically. William touched her arm and pointed upward. Near the center of the chamber floated two cells side by side. Inside were Jack and Emma Carter. "Mom, Dad?" Jack's voice somehow reached them, not through his ears, but directly in their minds. "They can communicate telepathically," Dr. Murphy explained in amazement. "The alien environment must have activated dormant abilities in the human brain." "How do we get them down?" Sam asked, studying the cells. Kate approached what looked like a control panel. "If I can hack into this system, maybe I can release them all at once." "Be careful," William warned. "We don't want to harm them in the process." As Kate worked, Lisa maintained mental contact with her children. "Are you hurt? Did they harm you?" "We're okay, Mom," Emma replied in her mind. "The alien didn't hurt anyone. He just wanted to study us." "There are children from many worlds here," Jack added. "Some have been here for years." Dr. Murphy examined the nearest cell containing a child with blue skin and large eyes. "Remarkable. This appears to be a living museum of intelligent species." Suddenly, all the lights in the chamber turned red. A deep rumbling sound filled the air. At the far end of the chamber, a hidden door slid open. Through it stepped Grievous. The alien collector was even more intimidating in person than on the video. He stood 12 feet tall, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming in the red light. His 4 arms ended in hands with 7 fingers each. His Compound eyes reflected the humans like hundreds of tiny mirrors. Humans, Grievous said, his voice vibrating the air around them. You are persistent creatures. Sam aimed his weapon at the alien. Release the children, all of them. Grievous made a sound that might have been laughter. Your primitive weapons cannot harm me. I have collected specimens from worlds far more advanced than yours. Why are you doing this? William asked, stepping forward. Why take children from their families? To preserve, Grievous replied. Each species in my collection faces extinction. On their home world, I save what I can. That's not true for humans, Dr. Murphy argued. Our population is stable. Is it? Grievous moved closer, his movements unnaturally smooth for his size. My analysis of your data networks indicates your species will destroy itself within 100 years. Wars, climate collapse, resource depletion. The pattern is clear. You can't know that for certain, Lisa said. I have seen it before. Many times. Grievous gestured to the cells around them. These young ones are the last of their kind. In time, your children will be too. William shook his head. Even if you're right, that doesn't give you the right to take our children against their will. Will? Grievous tilted his massive head. What is the will of a species determined to end itself? I offer salvation. As they argued, Kate continued working on the control panel. She caught William's eye and nodded slightly. She had found a way into the system. You speak of saving us, William said, keeping Grievous's attention. But you threatened our world with chaos if we didn't surrender. How is that salvation? Grievous's outer shell rippled, perhaps showing emotion. A necessary deception. Few species willingly give up their young even to save them. Father, a new voice called out. Everyone turned to see one of the cells descending toward them. Inside was Zara, her silvery skin glowing softly. These humans deserve to be heard. Zara. Grievous sounded surprised. What are you doing in containment? Learning, she replied. As you instructed. I have learned much from these humans, especially from Jack. The cell containing Jack descended next to Zara's. The boy looked tired, with dried blood beneath his nose from his mental efforts. The children have formed a network, Zara explained. They communicate across the ship. They work together in ways our kind never could. Cooperation, Grievous said dismissively. A primitive survival trait. Is it? Zara challenged. They disabled your hunter drones. They guided their parents here, all without technology, using only their minds. Grievous seemed to consider this. An interesting adaptation, but not enough to change their fate. While they talked, Kate had finished her work on the control panel. She looked at Sam and nodded. It was time. Sam raised his weapon again. Enough talk. Release the children now or we'll do it ourselves. Grievous moved with shocking speed for his size. One moment he stood across the chamber. The next he was directly in front of Sam, knocking the weapon from his hands. You still do not understand, Grievous said. You cannot defeat me. Maybe not, William said calmly, but we can disable your ship. At his signal, Kate activated her program. Throughout the chamber, cells began to open. Children floated gently to the floor, free from their captivity. Jack and Emma's cells opened too, and they rushed to their parents. Grievous roared in anger, the sound painfully loud. What have you done? The containment systems maintain the specimen's health. Without them, many will not survive. Dr. Murphy quickly checked the nearest alien child. He's right. Some of these species need special environments. They can't breathe. Our air. Lisa, holding Emma tightly, looked at the other alien children with concern. We can't save our children by dooming others. We won't, William promised. He turned to Grievous. Stop threatening Earth, let our children go. In return, we'll help you maintain the others who truly need protection. Grievous seemed confused by the offer. You would help after what I've done? That's what humans do, Jack said, standing tall despite his exhaustion. We help each other, we work together. That's why we'll survive. Zara approached her father. The boy speaks truth, I have seen it in their minds. Humans fight hardest when protecting others, not just themselves. A terrible rumbling shook the ship, stronger than before. Warning lights flashed everywhere. The ship's systems are failing, Grievous said. Without proper containment, the living components are dying. Can you fix it? William asked urgently. Not alone, Grievous admitted. The ship responds to my kind's mental commands, but the damage is too extensive. Jack looked at the other human children, then at Zara. Maybe not alone, but together? Zara understood immediately. A mental network, like you, formed before. If enough minds focus together, it might work, Grievous conceded, but I cannot ask that of my specimens. You don't have to ask, Jack said. We'll volunteer. The ship shook violently. Parts of the ceiling began to break loose. The rescue team gathered the human children in the center of the chamber, trying to protect them from falling debris. What's your plan, Jack? William asked his son. Jack looked, tired but determined. If we all focus our minds together like we did before, we might be able to help Grievous control the ship. It's dangerous, Zara warned. The mental strain could harm you. We have to try, Jack insisted. We can't let anyone die, not even the aliens. Emma stepped forward. I'll help too. One by one, the other human children joined them. They formed a circle in the center of the chamber, holding hands. The alien children who could breathe the air joined them as well. Grievous watched with what seemed like surprise. You would risk yourselves for others after what I've done? This is what makes humans special, Dr. Murphy explained. We can forgive. We can work together even with those who have harmed us. Zara took her place next to Jack in the circle. I will guide them, Father. My mind can bridge yours with theirs. Grievous hesitated, then nodded his massive head. Very well. The alien collector closed his compound eyes and extended his 4 arms toward the children. Zara began to glow with a soft silver light. One by one, the children closed their eyes too. William, Lisa, Sam, Kate, and Dr. Murphy watched in amazement as a web of light seemed to form between all the children. It connected them to each other, to Zara, and finally to Grievous. What's happening? Lisa whispered. They're linking their minds, Dr. Murphy said in awe, creating a unified mental field powerful enough to interface with the ship's systems. Through the mental link, Jack could feel everyone's thoughts. Emma's love and courage, Zara's wisdom beyond her years, the fear and hope of the alien children, and deep within Grievous's mind, something unexpected, profound loneliness. You're the last of your kind, Jack realized. Yes. Grievous's mental voice replied. My world died centuries ago. I am the only survivor. That's why you collect children, Jack understood now. You're trying to save others from your fate. Each species in my collection faced extinction on their worlds. I have saved the last of 17 civilizations. As they spoke mentally, the children focused their combined power on the ship's systems. Broken connections repaired themselves. Dying tissues regenerated. The violent shaking began to subside. It's working, Kate said, checking her tablet. The ship is stabilizing. The lights returned to their normal blue color. The fallen debris stopped. The rumbling quieted to a gentle hum. Through their mental link, Jack showed Grievous images of Earth, not just the problems, wars, pollution, and conflict, but also the beauty and hope, people working together to solve climate change, nations cooperating in space, communities helping each other after disasters. We make mistakes, Jack admitted, but we learn from them. We grow. We don't need to be taken from our world to be saved. Grievous seemed to consider this. His mental presence felt less certain than before. What about the truly endangered? He asked. Some in my collection are indeed the last of their kind. William stepped forward, addressing Grievous directly. Perhaps there's another way. Instead of taking children against their will, you could work with worlds openly. Help those truly in danger. Be a guardian, not a collector. A guardian, Grievous repeated, as if the concept was new to him. The mental link began to fade as the children grew tired. Jack was the last to break the connection. He swayed on his feet, exhausted. Lisa rushed to catch him before he fell. "You did it," she whispered proudly, holding him close. The ship had stabilized completely now. The rescue team gathered all the human children, checking each one for injuries. Thankfully, none had been seriously harmed during their captivity. Grievous approached William, his massive form less intimidating somehow. "Your son has shown me something I had forgotten, the power of choice, of cooperation. Will you let us take our children home?" William asked. "Yes," Grievous decided. "The human children may return to Earth. I will assist in returning other species to their worlds as well, if they wish to go." "And those who truly have no home?" Dr. Murphy asked, looking at some of the alien children whose worlds were gone. "They may stay if they choose," Grievous said. "Not as specimens, but as—" He seemed to search for the right word. "Family." Zara stepped to her father's side. "We can create a true sanctuary, a place where endangered species can live and grow, not just survive." Colonel Foster's voice suddenly came through Sam's communication device. "Rescue team, the alien ship is moving. Are you all right?" "We're fine," Sam replied. "We have the children, all of them, and we've reached an understanding with the alien. Can you get to the evacuation point? The shuttle is waiting." Sam looked at William, who nodded. "We're on our way." As they prepared to leave, Jack turned to Zara. "Will I ever see you again?" "I believe so," she replied. "Our minds have touched. That connection doesn't break easily." "Perhaps we could visit sometimes," Grievous offered unexpectedly. "There is much our worlds could learn from each other." The human children said goodbye to their alien friends. Grievous provided a transport pod to carry everyone safely to the shuttle. As they boarded, William looked back at the massive alien. "Remember your promise," he said. "No more taking children against their will." "You have my word," Grievous replied. "And I will withdraw the ultimatum to your world. Earth is free to choose its own path." The pod carried them to the waiting shuttle. Through the viewport they watched as the alien ship moved away from the moon, its surface rippling like something alive. Colonel Foster greeted them as they boarded the shuttle. "I don't know how you did it, but well done. The world leaders are still arguing about whether to surrender or attack." "They can stop arguing," William said with a smile. "The threat is over." The shuttle began its journey back to Earth. The children, exhausted from their ordeal, slept peacefully. Jack and Emma curled up between their parents, finally safe. Before falling asleep, Jack gazed out at the stars. Through the fading mental link, he could still feel Zara's presence. "Goodbye for now," he thought to her. "Until we meet again." Her reply came faintly. "Remember, Jack Carter of Earth, you have shown us a better way." As Earth came into view, blue and beautiful against the blackness of space, William and Lisa held their children close. The adventure was over, but its impact would last forever. Humanity had faced an alien collector and shown him something more valuable than specimens and cells: the power of working together, of family, and of choosing one's own fate. And somewhere among the stars, Grievous and Zara began transforming their collection into a true sanctuary, inspired by the courage of Earth's children.